What's good, everybody? What's going on, man? It's Stephen Qualls the second, aka Mr. Qualified. It's you, boy. And we are back for another episode of the Wright Quality Podcast. I know that Ashley's here and we have a special guest. I don't know who else is on the pod today. This is not the Emilio that I know. Sir, what's going on here? What's happening? Please explain.
You don't really get to let me talk for real. Uh, also a quote. One and only Cordell Beckham, uh, winner of Love Island. Great to meet you all. I've seen the pod a lot. Big fan. It's here to bring joy, here to bring light. It's been a great summer. It was just in that Summer Walker music video. Shouts out Emilio. I've seen him a lot. Great host. Glad to be his substitute for the day. I heard we look alike.
Right.
Good for you, man.
Also, shout out Jared McCain, other guest co-host. Glad to be directly behind him. He's gonna have a great year this year if they ever give him a tick in front of Cal Thick Lowry.
I don't see it happening, but fair enough.
There's a lot of space to cover in front of that man. A lot of weight to move.
That's insane. Ashley, I'm sorry I referenced you. I didn't give you a chance to introduce yourself. Please
Big
go ahead.
shorts to fill. Sorry.
No, it's okay. It's Ashley Wright first. Big fan of Cordeezy. Waiting on my box of Cheez-Its.
Flavor coming out soon.
Insane. And for our very special guest, not really a guest to the pod per se, has been here multiple times before, but please let the people who don't know who you are. Go ahead and inform.
Hi. I am my name is Joshua Chapman. I'm an Eagles fan, so that's how I go. What was that?
What's the call? Is that the calling card?
What was that, Ashley? Because
nothing. I'm making sure I'm ready for the pod. That's all. I just have to. Yeah.
Okay. Sounds like you were choking.
No. Yeah, I'm okay.
Like how you guys choked away Saquon at free agency.
Wow.
Oh.
Wow. Wow.
I'm just.
Put the gun down.
Please.
Like Michael Jackson in the video. Just
Did you guys see the Batman?
How are we feeling about the first half of the season? Ashley, I think I know how you were feeling, but
yeah,
if you want to provide
what happened?
Please don't give him the firepower.
No. Did I miss something? Something happened?
Oh my gosh. I have no expectations for the personal team that I root for. However, I have been thoroughly entertained with NFL football. I really have. I feel like it's lived up to expectations. We've gotten the storylines. Honestly, the NBA is like the Diva League, but the NFL has kind of, given us a little juiciness, and I like it. So, well, honestly, the first thing is first, obviously. The Jets were a Super Bowl favorite. They're 2-6 going into tonight, and I honestly feel like they'll lose against the Texans today, too. But that's juicy. Even with the acquisition of Devontae Adams, although it's only been a week so far, they look still much of the same. Juicy. I like what Kirk Cousins is doing in Atlanta. I really do. That snuck up on me. I didn't honestly think to consider them as a scary team, but I kind of owe them some respect. I shouldn't?
Have we forgotten that they're the Falcons?
I know that they're the Falcons, but you have to give them their just due. They do look good.
No,
you're the better bird. You're the biggest bird.
Guys, it's the Falcons.
They look better than what people thought they'd look.
Hey, best bird team in the league. Let's talk about it.
Cool. No, guys, this is the same team that tricked off a 28-3 lead in the Super Bowl.
It is.
All right. Every time you think the Falcons are going to do something, you're just going to get disappointed. They're like the Clippers of the NFL, but on steroids.
Yikes.
Wow. Shouts out. I love analogies, and that sounds like a good one.
Like,
Although they got rid of Arthur Smith, I hear you.
And they have Kirk Cousins. You mean to tell me wait. You're going to tell me that you're putting your faith in Kirk Cousins.
Not faith.
On the Falcons.
Not faith.
In with actual expectation, game one, season on the line.
Not faith. I'm just saying that they're performing much better than a lot of people anticipated. I don't have any faith, I'm not, they're going to go to a Super Bowl run or they're going to win the division. No. I'm just saying they look decent.
Okay. I was about to say.
Same with the Bucks. Baker Mayfield. Nobody thought he was going to play as well as he's been playing. But yes, he's been providing some competition. Like, I'll be honest, I kind of look forward to seeing them play. I like seeing what Baker's doing.
Baker Mayfield is having the redemption season that we thought Johnny Manziel would have at some point.
Yes, I like that.
In the NFL?
I like
that people prayed for, that people hoped for.
Who was praying for Johnny Manziel?
Oh, that was, I don't think
certain people that I will not mention.
I was gonna say other than his mama, like who's
certain people, like I said, that I will not mention.
I'm certain people.
You were hold on.
No, not praying. No, don't take me literal.
You have these for that man.
No, I was just
you were going to the
hoping
Lord for Johnny Manziel. That's crazy.
No, I was just hoping he would succeed.
She was going to bed every night, like, let him.
Yo, y'all got Ashley in school all today, bro.
I was like 12 when
no,
he was
wait, hold on.
You're watching Selling Sunset season 8. You're like, I hope this man for all the best.
The visual of that, just like a young Ashley going to bed earnestly. God. Dear Lord, I'm praying for Johnny. Like, that's hilarious to me, dog.
Cleanse his soul from the pain.
Please let him overcome being a 6'0" quarterback.
Yeah.
let him get back Bree from Selling Sunset and let him get a ring in the NFL. Amen.
If you could just hide the drugs from him for 1 or 2 weeks, Lord, that would just.
Johnny didn't want to be hidden from the drugs. I think that's clear.
That's why you had to pray for it. Like,
yeah. People were sending energy, I guess.
She was praying for his salvation.
Well, my prayers fell on deaf ears because it never happened.
That's hilarious, dog. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Unfortunately. Wait, so Josh, I have a question for you. I know obviously that it is it's all Eagles for you, but I'm curious, with your most non-biased answer, do you believe that the NFC North is the most competitive division in football?
Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt.
Who's in the AFC?
NFC North.
I said NFC North.
No, I know, but I said who's in the AFC entirely. That's really like
the Chiefs.
I mean, like
that's been a sad side of the league.
Chiefs Ravens are probably the front runners.
That's it.
Bills and Bengals. I said like Bills and Bengals are like, they teeter on how good of a contender they might actually be.
So like the thing about the Bills to me is that like they still have not figured out how to have like a consistent running game.
Mm-hmm.
And like that can come to bite you when you have a quarterback that can like throw 100 miles an hour, which is really a neat party trick until it's brick in January in Buffalo. And then it's like, please relax. You know what I mean? Like it's the same thing that like I think plagued a lot of the Packers teams of years past, where like they love throwing around the ball, and then like you're throwing around a frozen rock in the tundra. Like it's not as sustainable as like you guys have built this team to be. Like we see that problem happen to Miami every year, where like they have this fun and unique and like innovative offense that spreads, and then they get to a cold weather place and none of them know how to do anything. So like I'll have to like see it with the Bills. Like I need the Bills to get to a Super Bowl at like a neutral site, and then I can be like, okay, like this might actually happen. But also they have the very like Raptors Cavs thing going out with them and the Chiefs. So like, who knows if that's actually going to like pan out with them.
And the Ravens are the Hawks.
They're the ones. Maybe they're they're better than the Hawks. I think
the Hawks.
Hey, the Hawks were
they were those Pacers teams.
Ah,
they're good. They're very good.
Wait, like, PG's Pacers or Reggie's Pacers?
Yeah, PG's Pacers.
Yeah, like, you could theoretically see them beating the Chiefs, but like also you're gonna have to require your best guy to like be better than their best guy.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's actually going to happen.
I feel like that's more comparable because Atlanta at least had a team, and Lamar is just kind of out there with whoever is trying to catch a ball for him.
Well, now they got Derrick Henry, which like,
and they also did pick up
Deontay
Johnson. Mm-hmm. Shouts out them actually trying to get a receiver that's relevant.
Having to tackle Derrick Henry like you're also concerned about Lamar Jackson just does not sound fun. You know what I mean? So like, That
And
might
what
be the
they
most
get.
that might be the most unfair quarterback running back duo in terms of like, oh, I have to choose one or the other. It's definitely top two in the league.
But how do we feel about Harbaugh basically saying we didn't get Derek to give him the ball 30 times? Like,
He's lying.
they don't do it though.
I mean,
I mean, and then
They
in
wait till
do
they
it
threw
in they do it in they do it in games that matter. They do it in games that they like win. So like,
That's
yeah,
true.
I was gonna say, in theory, I feel like you definitely don't want to wear him down, and you understand that, like, as he's getting older, like, you don't want to ruin the last years he has as a dynamic back. But I mean, he's gonna be utilized. But like Josh was saying, in games where they need it, having that weapon is insane. But I think also knowing that you don't have to depend on him over the course of a 17 game season or 17-week season, and the playoffs probably is maybe where he could have more so been coming from. But at the end of the day, they're going to utilize him. It would be dumb not to. And it's not, I mean, I don't know if people consider him to be out of his prime or like at the tail end of his prime. I don't know if this would be considered his peak still, more than likely not. But I think they're probably just being smart with how they use him. So it's the most effective.
Fair.
he's one of those weird running backs where like he gets better as the game goes on. Like if you see him, like all of his big runs happen in like the third or fourth quarter, just because like dudes are tired of tackling him.
Yeah.
Like, he's not like a smaller or a different type of running back, or like a Joe Mixon or whoever, for example, where like he can break one early and that's it. Like a lot of his like big stuff happens because it's 3rd and 2 in the third quarter, and guys are like, "Fuck, we got to tackle Derrick Henry again." Like, that sort of thing.
Yeah. So like what about the Bengals? What's their NBA comparison, if you will, or the NBA analogy? Because they're an interesting case too. I mean, I know Burrow was injured last year, but I mean, they
I,
have been battling the Chiefs, and they did make it to a Super Bowl in the last 2 years.
I think they're the Heat. Like, beginning of the season,
I don't know if they have that culture though.
Not yet,
No, because like if I think about Bengals culture, I think about ownership that doesn't like to pay players.
Yeah.
Like they let a very talented safety in Justin Simmons go because was it Justin? No, it's Jesse Bates.
Yeah,
Go because they just didn't want to pay him. They are in a contract dispute with Jamar Chase because they don't want to pay him. T. Higgins is probably out of there because they begrudgingly pay Joe Burrow because like you have
The
to pay the
Phoenix Suns?
quarterback. Yeah, Phoenix might be a good one. Phoenix might be good.
Granted, the only player they didn't want to pay was Jay Crowder for reasons. But
But like talented on paper, but like they have some like still very obvious flaws. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, that tracks. I mean, I think are those the four main contenders in the AFC? Really?
Yeah, because who else is?
yeah.
Chiefs,
Yeah.
Raiders, Chargers, not Broncos now. South is the Texans. Well, the Texans.
Texans.
With Stephon Diggs out
I still think that.
and Nico
How long
Collins.
is Nico Collins out for the season?
At least until like week 13, 14.
Yeah.
Okay, so they might make a move at the deadline to bring in someone like a Mike Williams from the Jets. But like CJ Stroud is still like a very talented and capable quarterback.
Oh yeah.
They have a solid defense. Like, yeah, I think they're one of those teams that like they'll give somebody trouble in the playoffs, but I don't know if I would necessarily count on them to like make a deep run.
That's fair.
Yeah, they're still a year away from being a year away.
Yeah.
Fair enough. So does that mean the NFC is a more competitive conference overall?
Yeah.
I think the NFC is equally as top heavy.
The NFC has more good teams than the AFC entirely.
I don't agree with that. I'm not a believer.
We're one Bears team away from having 4 in comparison to the AFC.
So like the Bears are like even the Vikings to a degree are a team that I'm just like I don't know like I don't know
scary.
If you guys are, yeah I don't know if you guys
I'm
are
not scared
good
though.
or like yeah. The Lions are the Lions. They are. I don't know how no one has fought them. Like pulling out all these trick plays about 30 or whatever. Like, the Packers, y'all are good, but we Chiefs. Don't forget that. Let's see. In the what? NFC West, Cardinals, I don't believe in.
No.
49ers look washed.
They do.
Yeah, I don't know, guys.
They
I
look
think
like
it's really just. I really think that it's like the West has, or not the West. The AFC has more playoff caliber teams, but the NFC has like the top of like the Eagles and the Lions, and like I guess the remnants of the 49 if they get McCaffrey back,
Yeah.
they have
are like yeah. So like I guess those three are the three, and then like we'll see about. I don't know how you guys feel about the Packers this year.
I feel good. Got to get a healthy Jordan Love. If like week to week, it's just like interception problems, injury problems. We just got to make sure he's healthy by playoffs. But I'm solid with like, Willis holding it down until he's back. I don't feel like we have to like force him back into the lineup, especially against the Lions where it's already going to be a tough ask to win this week. So
Yeah, and I think that I more so just want to see how we look come playoff time. I do think seeding will be important. Like it would be great to win the division. Because I do think the winner of our division, the way it's looking, more than likely will be the one seed in the conference. I mean, unless somebody else has a spurt second half of the season. But
So like
I think matchups will matter for us. So
I think if you guys win the division, it's not going to be as a one seed because the Lions are so like the Lions have lost one game.
I would like a wild card. Call me crazy, but I'd rather stay hot and play hot. Every time we have a bye week, it seems like we forget how to play football. And then we come back and the hotter team usually wins. So I'd rather be rolling come playoff time instead of, take that week and get a little bit stale. That's what it feels like Packers of old would do. And I'd rather avoid that.
I agree. I mean, I would prefer us to play all the way through and not have that bye either. I just hope that, I feel like we're building on good habits right now. Like I think the defense is improving by the week, and I think the defense has been the mainstay, at least for the most part. The offense has shown how dynamic it can be. A lot of that is also dependent on Jordan Love, but I think we've also seen it get very stagnant. It's nice to see Josh Jacobs kind of looking like he's actually starting to assimilate now. So it's he looks more comfortable. So I think we'll look good as long as we're healthy. We'll be good and we'll be competitive come playoff time. I think it'll come down to how good do other teams look come playoff times. Like I'm assuming the Lions will still be the Lions, but like will other teams have hit their stride as well? And did our experience last season really prepare us for the playoffs more specifically? Because I think we have a relatively good chance of making it. I know we have a tough stretch of the schedule, but I don't see us sliding out of contention, even if it does fall into one of those lower seeds. But I feel pretty good right now. Last NFL topic. A lot of young quarterbacks in the league.
We didn't talk about the NFC East. That's the one division.
We don't have to.
We went around all the other ones. I don't.
Gosh.
Tell us about the NFC East, man.
Go ahead, Josh. You got it.
I'm just saying, there's a lot of haters. There was a lot of naysayers early in the season. Oh, Jalen Hurts isn't that. Jalen Hurts isn't this. All that sort of stuff.
Anyway,
and all I'm going to say.
The one year they don't talk about interceptions being a problem is a year that
no. I'm not even going to do that.
Jaden Daniels looks phenomenal. I mean, the
Commanders
like playing some football that we didn't even think that they'd be
all
able
I'm going to say is
we don't have to talk about
Joe Burrow had the game.
Philadelphia. We don't have to talk about the Eagles choking in the Super Bowl and losing to the Chiefs. We don't have to talk about Jalen Hurts caring more about his lining than he cares about accuracy. We don't have to talk about
a 68% completion percentage is bad accuracy.
More about how his lining is than how accurate he is to Devontae Smith downfield. It's okay.
Oh, you mean like the 45-yard touchdown he had last week?
I don't have to touch on this.
That he just Devontae Smith, almost famously not a guy.
I'm bitter. I know. I'm bitter. He looks good. Okay, all biases aside, Eagles look good.
And all I'm going to say is that if Joe Burrow had the game that Jalen Hurts had last week, the national media wouldn't shut up about it. They wouldn't. They'd be like, he had 4 combined touchdowns. He this, that, and third. He didn't miss a pass in the second half. we would never hear the end of Joe Shiesty. But hey, you see how they do, my people. But it is what it is.
I'm crying. But yeah, so like young quarterbacks in the league, a lot of them getting benched. It's been said, like it was talked about at the beginning of the season, but does the NFL truly have a quarterback problem, or is it just a young quarterback problem?
I would almost put that on
The teams.
coaching deficit.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, granted, Russell Wilson has won his 2 games that he's played. Still very hurt about the 4-2 Steelers turning their heads away from Wilson and turning their heads away from Fields and just letting him play himself out of a starting role, which I feel like most quarterbacks get that privilege to do. And they just kind of were like, nah, Broncos country, let's ride, or whatever whack phrase he has for the Steelers this year. Bryce was Bryce before this year, so I don't think that's really his issue. Anthony in Indianapolis, that's a toss up to me, because Flacco Hive still lives. Got to ride or die for my man Flacco. Can't say he's a chump. He can still go get a win, but I think it was just a bad look for him this last week, tapping himself out of the game. And
you can't do that.
You can't as a QB, like that's it, you lose a locker room doing that. So I think that's almost like what that one is there, where it's like it almost is like an example has to be made. Even though their coach kind of like gave him a pass on it, saying like, "Oh, I got tired watching that play," and it's like, yeah, you did, but like your teammates are definitely throwing shade on you in that locker room for taking out the series because you were tired after that scramble. Like Lamar doesn't do that after his. Jaden won't do that after his. There's QBs that will do that. I mean, we were just talking about Iron Man Brett Favre in his, in his heyday. That man would not leave even if this man was, throwing picks like crazy because he was concussed. But I think that's because it was a different league back then too. Now it's like, we got guys that care about their health, which they should, But
like, there's 6 players that can't come out just because like they're a little winded.
Yeah.
It's the quarterback and it's the offensive line. Like, 100%. Everybody else gets a breather. You know what I mean?
Offensive line is breaking their fingers every other play, and they're just sitting in there, putting their hands in the dirt, ready to go back for another one.
Yeah. I think to answer your question, Steve, I think it's mostly or more because the NFL, I don't want to say has a salary cap problem, but because it is so inexpensive to pay a rookie quarterback for 4 years or 5 years, that they want to see how good you are immediately to know whether or not the next 2 or 3 years they can go add playmakers and really try to like expand this window around you, right? Like that was a big part of the Eagles when we went to the Super Bowl in 2012, which I don't remember the last time the Giants were even relevant in the playoffs, but whatever.
I think the Giants won that year before, but go ahead.
Did they?
You said
the last time you got one?
Yeah, 2020.
No, 2022.
Oh, okay.
So it's been like over a decade. But
yeah, but we won the one that we went to. So the 2 that we went to is something to show for it.
I'm glad. How has it been lately?
No one wins in the Family Feuds.
How's it been like the last, I don't know, decade or so? Like the last decade or so,
I'm heartbroken, okay? I haven't celebrated.
So what you're telling me is that there's 10-year-olds that don't know of a good Giants team?
Okay. Okay. When was the last time Philly had a parade?
Oh, no.
Was it not?
In
any sport. I'm not even limiting this to the NFL. This is
Am I losing my mind that Nick Foles got them one?
Yeah. So you just put on for all of New York?
Give me the year.
You just put on for all of New York? I'm legitimately asking.
This is when Trump was in office, I feel.
So
yeah, it was 2017. No, it was 2017. That's when we won.
17? Oh, okay. Yeah. So I was a freshman in college, and I graduated college 3 years ago. So that means I was about.
I'm legitimately. Are you putting on for all of New York? Like, is that just your thing?
No, I'm not a New Yorker.
Oh, Oh, that's a little confusing, but that's fine. Anyways,
You're a fan of all Philly sports,
Shade.
yeah.
right? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. You're not from Philly though, are you?
No, my dad's from Philly. That's how I grew up. It's just
Oh, okay.
I didn't want to root for the sorry ass Bears, so there's that.
I feel you. I feel you.
Talk about who with you. on that one.
Why
What am I gonna
wouldn't
do
you?
with that?
Bear down Jaden Daniels for a 50-plus yarder Hail Mary. God bless.
I was at a watch party for that, and like, boy, they were passing out shots after the last touchdown. I was like, guys, you guys realize it's still the Bears, right?
Mm.
The tape of my man in the corner of the end zone flexing up and looking at the fans. Oh man.
Not a good
Oh
look.
man, they definitely locked his badge. And he was the tip too. He was the one that put the hand on it. So
He's got to sit next week.
That's sad.
Sure.
Nah, you can't do that.
All right, I'll let you live, Josh. I'll let you live. We suck. I have no room to speak on successful football teams.
Listen,
still got faith in Danny Dimes.
We could do this all, bro. There's no one that hates my team more than me. So like we can do this all day. Like
I am laying down my.
I don't
fan would. This is how I know you really rock with them.
Yeah, like
you'll boo them when you get the chance.
I was at the Monday night game. I booed them there. Like
true
the one against the Falcons.
Yeah, I booed the hell out of them. Yeah. It's like, why did we lose to the Falcons? That's the dumbest thing we did this year. Like,
hey, at least you didn't lose. Hey, can we talk about famous Jameis? Turning the Browns season around. Unwavering in faith.
Yes.
Belief.
Yes.
Dependence on the Lord. Oh my, a demon. He came through and beat Lamar. You had to do it to the Ravens.
Yeah,
that was great.
We saw Black on Black live. Oh, my Lord.
But basically what I was saying is that like a big part of the Eagles Super Bowl run that year was the calculation that like Jalen Hurts is good and we can afford to pay all these other players this money because we're paying Jalen like $10 million or whatever the case is. So like that's where like a lot of the hope is that you can have this 4 or 5 year window where your most important position you're paying pennies, and now before he gets his contract extension, because not every team is good with the cap, now before that we can really make a run with it. So I think that is damaging a lot of these players because like Anthony Richardson should start every game for 2 years, or he should have sat for at least a year behind a vet like a Joe Flacco or whoever, right? Like, even if you think that Anthony Richardson is a better talent than Joe Flacco, like sit him and let him really learn and mature in that thought processing and all that kind of stuff. Because like theoretically, he should still be playing college football. He's 22 years old, right? Mm-hmm. Like he's a super young, and even at Florida, he didn't get a whole bunch of starts.
Exactly.
Right. So like he's still a very raw, moldable product. You knew what Bryce Young was when you drafted him, and you knew the situation was. So like there is a thing of like you don't want him to develop bad habits, but then you have to also go out and like put at least a serviceable infrastructure around him to like see what he can do with it. Right. Like one of the biggest tragedies of Justin Fields is that like the Bears just kept never putting an offensive line or real playmakers around him. And then like he turned something into nothing. And like, cool, thanks. But now we're in position to draft Caleb. And so like, you got to go, buddy. And like, Caleb still doesn't have an offensive line. Like, I think that's one of the reasons I don't believe in the Bears is because like, push comes to shove, they can't block anybody. Like, they don't have people on that line that I'm like, oh, this is a good left tackle. Oh, they have one player, their right tackle, who I think is going to be there 3 years from now. But outside of that, like, I can't tell you exactly who that's going to be. And like, as we've all seen, like, the offensive line is such a foundational piece of your football team. Like, if you don't have a good offensive line, like, you really, like, you can't.
Aren't really doing anything.
You can't do anything, right? Like, that's one of the reasons why Jalen and Saquon have been doing so well in Philly. Is because
great line.
I'm not even trying to be, like, funny or anything.
Same with the Ravens,
like,
too.
That is an investment that Howie Roseman makes into the team. Like, every year, I know that we're going to take an offensive lineman and defensive lineman within the first 3 or 4 rounds. I just know.
And then
like that's just,
the Chiefs get one bad right tackle and it looks like everything's about to fall apart. Like you need a O-line.
Yeah, exactly. So, or the year that they played the Buccaneers in the Super Bowl, like Patrick Mahomes out there with 2 or 3 backup offensive linemen, and he was, and there were guys in his face the entire night. And like if he had an adequate offensive line, he might have 3 rings by now or 4, or whatever the number is. So like, you know, so I think it's a combination of not being patient and the regime's turning over so quickly.
Yeah.
And people wanting like instant results. And like, if you're not, picking a quarterback is very much saying that like we're gonna get behind this guy for the next however many years. And if you're a new regime, you don't necessarily want to marry yourself to that guy because like you don't know him, you don't know his work habits, you can't feel like this is the person I picked. Like, it's not the most fun thing in the world for those players, but like I understand why they do it. But like, yeah, so I think that's why we're seeing you have really high highs, and then you have like really like, okay, this isn't gonna work out, like sort of thing. Like for example, the Bills are super patient with Josh Allen. Josh Allen was bad for the first 2.5 years of his life.
Good Jesus Christ.
Like he was throwing to the opposite team like all the time. And then like a play caller came around, he figured it out, and now he's turned into like a top 3 quarterback. Like, so.
I think too, to add to your point, because I totally agree with that. I think it's partially the lack of vets that the quarterbacks are sitting behind too. So like if you look at Patrick Mahomes, he sat behind Alex Smith. If you look at I'm blanking. But anyway, my point is a lot of these rookie quarterbacks don't have that vet that they could sit behind. Like Jordan Love sat behind Aaron Rodgers. You are able to soak up that knowledge. You're getting your, just due as far as being that rookie quarterback, but still being educated or, just kind of being that apprentice under a well-renowned quarterback. And people like Anthony Richardson or Bryce Young, they're not getting that same benefit. So it's like they're kind of being thrown into the fire. And like you said, Josh, a lot of it has to do with kind of the existing regime that maybe refuses to go get an O-line or refuses to cement pieces around said quarterback because they're not sure how this quarterback is going to perform, which it seems logical. Like, yeah, I don't want to put anybody around you in case you don't pan out, but still you kind of need to assist that young quarterback as much as possible. Go ahead.
I heard a question on sport talk show. Is it dependent on them just sitting behind a QB, or is it them sitting behind a quality QB that gets them to that level? Like Jordan Love sitting behind Aaron Rodgers. Would they benefit from sitting behind?
Say, like, in both scenarios, like when Jordan Love was picked, I don't think that they thought Aaron Rodgers was going to come back that year.
Agreed.
We make it into this thing that the Packers just know what they're doing. They get to sit their guys for 2 or 3 years and all that kind of stuff. Like Aaron Rodgers looked cooked, and then inexplicably not cooked, and it probably has something to do with like the presence of Jordan Love. And thinking like, oh, okay, yeah, like that's how y'all gonna do me. I bet. And so like he got 2 years off of that, and to the point where the Packers were like, okay, well we have to play Jordan Love now because like his 4th year is coming up, and like we don't know if he's good or not. And with Mahomes fell into such a like perfect situation. He had the like perfect vet that was willing to like teach him these things. He had the perfect coach for him, and he was just good enough in that draft, but also just enough of a wild card where like that's the same draft as Watson and Trubisky and all that kind of stuff. Like
Trubisky, oh my God.
Right. But like, okay, so like the Bears probably should have, I mean, good thing that they didn't take Deshaun Watson because like we see the person that he's become now. But like they probably should have taken
Sunset Guest.
You said what?
My girl's watching Sunset. He was on there, and I was like, "Oh my God!" I was like, "Do you know who this is, babe?" She's like, "Who?" And I was like,
"Oh, Predator."
I was praying back up to Jameis Winston now.
You said he's a what?
Back up to Jameis Winston now.
No, Josh.
Massage Watson. Wait, he said something. I missed it. That's my calling.
Actually, I'm shocked. Someone has outhinged you.
What about Massage Watson? What can top that?
I said he's a predator. Is that not the truth?
Predator.
Hey,
Massage Watson. Hey. This is insane.
Who said Massage Watson?
Miguel.
I didn't.
Oh, man.
That was me.
Why y'all getting mad at me for saying the truth?
I'm not mad. I'm not mad. It's
I feel
just
like Vince Staples when he was talking about R. Kelly, like
R. Kelly?
you know what I mean? Like he did it. Like what are we doing? Like
yeah.
that man is a predator.
What was with people being like, "Oh my God, what touching words by Jameis Winston" right when it went down? I'm like, who are we talking about? What do you mean this was a powerful What a powerful statement.
He was speaking from the heart because Jameis also has history of touching people when they don't want to be touched. So like, I don't even remember what I was saying.
It was just the crabs.
No. But anyways, like Watson, the Bears should have taken Deshaun Watson, but like it's not like Patrick Mahomes was this slam dunk quarterback prospect. Like he was a quarterback from Texas Tech that had a big arm and that justifiably scared a lot of people in the NFL. And his decision making was great either. So like he fell into like a perfect situation. So like, yeah, ideally you're able to sit these guys behind some like quality vets or like, some or you have the, journeyman as their backup or whatever. And like they're able to learn and pick these guys' brains. But like, how many of those guys are also around the league just like willing to like do that, knowing that this is going to be my job for a year, and then this other guy is gonna take that role, right? Like we might not like. I don't think Dak is that great. I don't, despite how much money he got paid. But like, if Dak Prescott ever got to free agency, he'd break every free agency like contract that ever was because like you don't even get that's how Kirk Cousins has been around the league so long because like at his worst he's still an okay quarterback and there's just not that many of those guys that you feel like you can just plug in and play. So like yeah, I don't know how they're gonna solve this anytime soon.
Yeah, no, development is tricky in any sport because there are very few players and athletes, regardless of sport, that it just naturally translates like that they're going to develop on their own because they're either one, that good, or two, they want greatness in whatever sport that bad. Like 9 times out of 10, like you're going to need to be in a system where you're just taught by the right people and you're taught the right ways, like early enough for you to tap into that greatness if you're there. And I know as far as quarterbacks, not always just about the greatness, but to the point of development. Kind of similar to when it's talked in basketball, because like when you had these top picks and you really have 2, maybe 3 at best, if an organization feels like they can be patient, or it depends on how much of a rebuild they're in, or if they're the piece that you want to, if you're the piece that they want to prioritize. Because yeah, they might have drafted you, but then they might have caught somebody else in free agency who took a large leap, or maybe there's a pick that's right after you that took a larger leap. So now maybe you're in year 3 and year 4 and they still aren't willing to take that chance on you, even though you were a lottery pick or whatever the case may be. So yeah, development is always tricky regardless of the sport in the league, but
they're missing a G League.
I think
adopt the XFL.
To me, baseball does the best job at this, quite honestly.
Yeah.
But also baseball is such a much longer process to get to the league where like you can sort of pick out whether or not this person is going to be the prospect that you like thought that they were going to be, because it takes like 4 years to get to the big leagues or whatever. Basketball, like I think it's just one of those things that like, I mean, there's so many 20-year-olds in the draft at this point, like guys that still verifiably should be playing in college. That like it's so hard to like it's so hard to determine who's going to be what when like your second contract you're still 24 years old. Like that's still so young in terms of like your IQ, your athletic prime, all that kind of stuff. Like it's so young.
Yeah. No. That's real too. But this has been another jam-packed episode of the Wright Quality Podcast. And until then, until next time, we'll catch y'all next episode.
Go Birds.
Oh my God.